عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد. Tonight's lesson is on wal-Marjan فيما اتفق عليه الشيخان, selected hadiths that are agreed upon by Imam al-Bukhari and by Imam Muslim. We're still in Kitab Salat al-Musafirin wa Qasriha, the chapter of the traveler's prayer and its shortening. And you already know what I'm about to say. Like we have explained many times before, the reasons why there's so many different hadiths and chapters in this book which don't necessarily pertain to traveling, nor necessarily pertain to shortening the prayer. That's how the chapter or the book begun. Naam. And due to the fact that you give and you take, if the book is organized and arranged according to Imam Muslim, then it's going to go with how Muslim put the book. But Imam Muslim did not mention the specific abwab. He only mentioned the kutub. Alright? We've explained that before. So don't think that the chapter or the book is just this. We're just discussing traveling prayer. Alright? And shortening the prayer of the traveler. Naam? Chapter number 31 says, dozing off in prayers or faltering of one's tongue in the recitation of the Quran and mentioning of Allah. Or in mention of Allah, one should sleep or stop till one is fresh and active. Babu amri man na'asa fi salatihi aw ista'jama alayhi al-Qur'anu aw al-dhikru bi an yarquda aw yaq'uda hatta yadhhaba anhu dhalika. Hadith Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu قال دخل النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فإذا حبل ممدود بين الساريتين فقال ما هذا الحبل؟ قالوا هذا حبل لزينب فإذا فترت تعلقت. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لا حلوه ليصلي أحدكم نشاطه فإذا فتر فليقعد. حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم دخل عليها وعندها امرأة قال من هذه؟ قالت فلانة تذكر من صلاتها. قال مه عليكم بما تطيقون فوالله لا يمل الله حتى تملوا وكان أحب الدين إليه ما داوم عليه صاحبه. حديث عائشة رضي الله عنها أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال إذا نعس أحدكم وهو يصلي فليرقد حتى يذهب عنه النوم فإن أحدكم إذا صلى وهو ناعس لا يدري لعله يستغفر فيصب نفسه. The first hadith is hadith number 448. That's reported by Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu. It says here in the translation, once the Prophet ﷺ entered the mosque and he saw a rope hanging in between its two pillars. He said, what is this rope? The people said, this is the rope for Zainab, who, when she feels tired, holds it. The Prophet ﷺ said, do not use it. Remove the rope. You should offer salah as long as you feel active. And when you get tired, sit down. And when you get tired, sit down. Hadith 449 is narrated Aisha radiallahu anha. Once the Prophet ﷺ came, while a woman was sitting with me, he said, who is she? I replied, she is so-and-so, and told him about her prayers. He said disapprovingly, do deeds which are within your capacity, as Allah does not get tired, but you will get tired. That's what it says in the English translation. The English translation says once more, Allah does not get tired, but you will get tired. And the deen is that which is done regularly. The worship which is most loved by Allah is that which is done regularly. Hadith 450 is narrated by Aisha radiallahu anha. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, if any one of you feels drowsy while offering salah, he should go to bed till his slumber is over. Because in praying while drowsy, one does not know whether one is asking for forgiveness or for a bad thing for oneself, cursing oneself. So we have some issues here in certain translations, and an aqidah issue here. Perhaps we'll mention it, perhaps we won't. What's important is that this chapter heading teaches us one of the etiquettes of worship. One of the etiquettes of worship. And one of the most important etiquettes of worship. And that is balance and moderation. Balance and moderation. There is no specific agreed upon principle with regards to what is and what it doesn't necessarily exist, what is and what isn't, right? Everyone understand this? So one individual, devotion and dedication is extremism. You're extreme. You pray every day? You pray 5 times a day? You have a full beard, you don't trim your beard at all? You wear a full hijab? You read the Quran every day? You pray at night, 2 a.m., 3 a.m.? That's excessive. That's extreme. That's too much. Give yourself a break. You don't take no riba whatsoever? That's excessive. You know, a little bit it can help you out and huh? So it's relative. One man's devotion and dedication is another man's extremism. So our starting point is the Sharia. That's our what? Our starting point. And holding fast to the clear commandments and prohibitions of the Quran and the Sunnah is never ever extremism. No matter what CNN or BBC or Jazeera or this sheikh or this imam says. The clear commandments of the Quran and Sunnah. Everyone understand this? Commandments which are clear, lucid, plain, don't need a large, lengthy explanation. It goes beyond what Allah and His Messenger say. Or when a person takes what Allah and His Messenger says in a way in which the companions didn't do it, in a level, in an amount of intensity which was unknown to them, a different story. Everyone understand this? Different story. Now, so doing worship that's not in the Quran and the Sunnah, that can clearly be extremism. Doing the worship in the Quran and the Sunnah in a level or a manner that was never ever thought of by the early Muslims, different story. But sticking and holding fast to the prohibitions, or avoiding the prohibitions, sticking to the commandments can never ever be extremism. Let alone in the way which is how the Muslims understood it for over 1,000 years. Now, no one ever came and understood this hadith like you're interpreting in 2018. You're telling me 1,400 years of Muslim scholars and all of them were wrong? Each and every one of them was mistaken? And you come and say the hadith is not literal, it's just figurative. It's figurative. That's problematic. But the concept of what is extreme and what isn't extreme is relative. So one brother says, I'll sacrifice a little bit of sleep. I'm not going to die at work. I'm a little tired, a little, but I'm good. I'm all right. I'll pray at night. You say, I need to sleep. I need full 6 hours of sleep, 8 hours of sleep, 7 hours of sleep. I need to be well rested. It's relative. It's what? Relative. Another manifestation of extremism and lack of moderation is taking the recommended and punishing oneself in the manner of that which is obligatory. You're going through so many different loops and difficulties and hardships to implement this act of recommendation as if it's what? Mandatory. And that's problematic. That's what? It's problematic. And that comes to the concept of prioritizing your ibadah. Taraweeh, Qiyam Layl, extra sadaqah, Hajj, Umrah, or such and such. I have a debt, I have bills, I have a wife, I have children. You have to prioritize things. You have to do what? Prioritize things. And even that can become relative because there may be an issue in which a person says, I'll deal with some difficulty to get the reward. So dealing with a difficulty is one thing. Punishing yourself, failing to do the obligatory acts, it's a different story. Failing to perform and fulfill the amana is a different what? Different story. Everyone saying this? But a person may say, I'll manage. How much money you have in your account, your debit card? You say, I have $20. I don't never have it. The money doesn't sit there. Every week I put more money in it. Alhamdulillah, I'm fine with that. The best. I'll give that extra money in sadaqah. I won't get a credit card, etc. And others may say, I can't live with $20 on my debit card. I need some type of security. I need some type of, I have responsibilities. That's relative from what? Person to person. From what? Person to person. But never in an instance in which you're putting yourself through a hardship and a difficulty for something recommended, and you fail to do that which is what? Obligatory. There's a difference now. Everyone clear on this or not? Managing it, going through a bit of difficulty is one thing. Failing to do the obligatory acts because of the recommended act is what? Different story. Putting yourself to a major hardship, punishing yourself, is what? It's a different story. All of these are all very important concepts of sleeping at night, praying at night. I'm sleepy reading the Quran, or put the Quran down and don't recite it. You may begin to read the Quran, recite the Quran. Waliyadhu billah. There's some of us who are just naturally late, or maybe from shaitan or jinn. You get sleepy when you read the Quran. There's some people like this. They get tired. This is dangerous. You start reading it, 5 minutes, I need to rest. I need to take a break. But let you watch a movie. Or a game. What would you say? Netflix, what? Or something else. A person doesn't ever what? Sleep is foreign to them. But the moment they start reciting the Quran, they do what? I gotta put it down. Something's wrong now. That's not the same as someone who's saying, I want to recite the Quran, I may be a little sleepy, but I don't have to push myself to do it. That's not what's meant here. That's not what? That's not what's meant. But when you're so tired and so sleepy, and when you're falling asleep, and you don't know what you're saying, and what you're doing, and your mind isn't there, put it down. Go to sleep. Don't recite, don't study. You understand this? So there has to be a balance. And even within the concept of balance, there's always subjective. Your extremism is my ijtihad. Staying up at night, falling asleep with your head in a book, that's hard working to me. And you may say, no, you need to sleep. Or vice versa. Everyone understand this? Or vice versa. طيب. So it says, he who becomes tired in his prayer, أو استعجم عليه القرآن, or he can't recite the Quran and read the Quran properly, or any dhikr that he's making, he should sleep, he should lie down until the sleep goes away from him. This hadith, as we've said, or this chapter heading, as we've said, it shows a great amount of light on many incorrect practices in the ummah today. Incorrect. How can you beat yourself with a stick or cut yourself with a sword and say you're honoring Hussein and Ahlul Bayt? And the Prophet ﷺ says when you become tired, go to sleep. What's this? To whip yourself. If you can't recite the Quran when you're tired and sleepy, what about what? Or cutting yourself with a sword. That doesn't make any sense. Nah? Right. So that's the main point from all of these hadiths here. And one way or another, in which the Prophet ﷺ prohibited, in which the Prophet ﷺ commanded, in which the Messenger of Allah ﷺ disapproved. The different styles all leading to the main point of the chapter heading. Don't use a rope. Don't exhaust yourselves and wear yourself out. Naam. The most beloved religion to Allah is that which is done consistently. Are we understand this? وَهَكَذَا. It's all leading to the same what? The same point. You may be making dua for yourself and you end up cursing yourself because you're so tired. It all proves one main rule, and that is balance, moderation. And if you reach that level of exhaustion and fatigue, do not do the ibadah. Are we understand this? Don't do the what? Don't do the ibadah. طيب. Khairan inshallah. No, we don't have Allah. He says here regarding this chapter, وفيه دليل على الحث على الاقتصاد في العبادة واجتناب التعمق وليس الحديث مختصا بالصلاة بل هو عام في جميع أعمال البر. He says these hadiths prove that it is recommended to be balanced and moderate. Balanced and moderate during all acts of ibadah. And a person should not be a zealot. He should not be an extremist. He should not go too far. And this hadith is not specific just to prayer, Abdul Qawi. He says rather, all acts of piety. All acts of what? Making hajj, tawaf, teaching classes, anything in which you're falling asleep, you don't know what you're saying. You're harming yourself. Any act of what? Piety. So it's not specific just to what? Prayer. Now, it's just not specific just to prayer. طيب. Now we have the hadith, or the part of the hadith that says, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَمَلُّ حَتَّى تَمَلُّ. Literal translation, that Allah does not become tired until you become tired. Allah does not become tired until you become tired. No, he says about this, هو بفتح الميم فيهما وفي رواية أخرى لا يسأم حتى تسأموا وهما بمعنى. قال العلماء الملل والسآمة بالمعنى المتعارف في حقنا محال في حق الله تعالى، فيجب تأويل هذا الحديث. قال المحققون: معناه لا يعاملكم معاملة المال فيقطع عنكم ثوابه وجزاؤه وبسط فضله ورحمته حتى تقطعوا عملكم. وقيل معناه لا يمل إذا مللتم، وقاله ابن قتيبة وغيره، وحكاه الخطابي وغيره، وأنشدوا فيه شعرا. قالوا: ومثاله قولهم في البليغ: فلان لا ينقطع حتى أو يقطع خصومه أو يخصمه. ومعناه لا ينقطع إذا انقطع خصومه، ولو كان معناه ينقطع إذا انقطع خصومه لم يكن له فضل على غيره. He says here that the ulama, they differ on this hadith, and obviously we should also see the direction in which we're going. The hadith about Allah's attributes, and the hadith about Allah's actions, and what this hadith means or what it doesn't mean, and some of the inaccuracies and mistakes of Nawawi rahimahullah regarding the sifat of Allah, as we read before many times. May Allah have mercy upon his soul, everyone well on our behalf. Some of the mistakes that Nawawi rahimahullah and others made pertaining to understanding and dealing with Allah's sifat and Allah's actions. That's the general light. This hadith specifically, what does it mean? What doesn't it mean? Does Allah become tired? Can Allah become tired? Allah tells us that indeed we have created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. No fatigue has touched us. Alright, understand this? Al-Qawi al-Aziz. Allah is the most powerful, the most strong, Almighty, Azza wa Jal, right? Allah Azza wa Jal, He mentions that He is Inna Allaha huwa razaqu dhul quwwa al-mateen. Allah is the most powerful, the most formidable, Azza wa Jal, al-Wahid al-Qahar. And ayat. وَمَا مَسَّنَا مِن لُغُوب. Allah says no fatigue has come to us, right? Okay, have we become exhausted in the first creation? Allah says also in Surah Qaf as well. What's the ayah? If you can't go from English to Arabic, Arabic to English, it's what? It's not sharp enough. Moving forward. Al-Muhim, we know for sure, yaqinan, that Allah Azza wa Jal does not become tired. Everyone understand this? Tired is sifatu naqsin fil makhluq. It's an attribute of weakness in the creature. Fatigue and exhaustion is an attribute of what? Weakness in the creature, the created being. And any attribute of weakness or characteristic or quality of weakness in a human being, then Allah Azza wa Jal is even farther from it. Is either what? Further from it. Nah? And any attribute or characteristic of perfection in the creature or the created being, then Allah Azza wa Jal what? Has it? Even more and even greater. In general. Because there are exceptions, such as a child. For a man to have children, Abu Sharif, perfection or imperfection? A human being. For a man to have sons and daughters. Allahu Akbar. He said, I got gray hair now. Allah knows best. Wow, Allah Mustaan. Allah Mustaan. How would you say, Abdul Raqib? In general, the general rule. Without a question. For a man to be barren or a woman to be barren, or sterile, whatever, that's naqs. That's a blemish. That's imperfection in general. But does Allah have a son? So the qaida isn't always absolute. You understand this? For a person to go to a dinner, a banquet, and they'll desire food and have a good, healthy appetite, good thing or bad thing? No question. If you went out on a date, right? Inshallah, a marriage date. Go to Wali, bidnillah. And the sister barely pecked at her food. Would you want to marry her? Khalid says, heck no. She got to be able to throw down, right? He's going to eat all the food. What's the chances of a woman that doesn't have no appetite to be a good cook? No question, huh? Or just the general health, huh, Abdul Qawi? From a medical aspect. Not, I'm a small eater, she barely touched the food. Would you want to marry her or not? No, right? So having an appetite and eating in a created being is what? Perfection and imperfection. Without a question. But Allah Azza wa Jalla is a samad. As Allah Azza wa Jalla, He doesn't eat. He doesn't need food and drink. He doesn't need nourishment. Rather, the Prophet ﷺ, he told the companions when he forbade them to fast continually, back to back, consecutively. Huh? He says, إِنَّكَ لَتُوَاصِلْ. The companion says, but you do it. He says, لَسْتُ كَهَيْئَتِكُمْ. He says, I'm not like you. I go to sleep and what? Allah feeds me and gives me drink. That was in the Prophet a what? A virtue above the normal standard of the human. Everyone understand this? But the general rule is that that which is perfection for the creature, Allah has it what? Even more. And that which is weakness in the creature, Allah is what? Further from it. Further from it. Everyone understand this? Everybody clear on this or not? So tiredness or being fatigued or being exhausted is naqs, is deficiency in the creature. So how can it be attributed to Allah Azza wa Jalla? That's qaida number one. Qaida number two is there are different sifat of Allah Azza wa Jal and different actions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which are not necessarily absolute. They are not absolute, but they are restricted to times, places, people, and ways. Allah mocks those who mock Him. Allah mocks those who what? Mock Him. So can we say that Allah Azza wa Jal is He mocks and He's a mocker? That's His attribute. Doesn't have to be a name. Al-Mustahzi. But the concept of does Allah trick Al-Mukhadi? Is Allah's name the tricker? The trickster? Does Allah have the attribute of tricking people and deceiving people? Absolutely. Or is it what? Restricted. Allah mocks those who mock the deen. Allah tricks the munafiqeen who try to trick Him. And the ayah, the Quran, it doesn't just say Allah yastahzi. Allah yastahzi'u bihim. He just mocks and that's it. وَهُوَ خَادِعُهُمْ. That's it. إِنَّ الْمُنَافِقِينَ يُخَادِعُونَ Allah. The munafiqs try to trick Allah and Allah what? Tricks them. Everyone understand this? When they وَإِذَا لَقُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قَالُوا آمَنَّا. We're believers. وَإِذَا خَلَوْا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ. They says, إِنَّمَا نَحْنُ. What? We say what? They say we only make fun. And then Allah says, Allah mocks them and they don't realize it, they know it. So it's not necessarily an absolute attribute of Allah to mock or to trick or to deceive. But it is an attribute that is affirmed to Allah, or an action that's affirmed to Allah in light of Allah will not become tired until you become tired. Everyone understand this? Regardless of the end, Allah will not take His reward from you until you stop trying. The fact of the matter is that the hadith does not state that Allah becomes tired, in which you have to twist it and bend it and warp it in 15 different directions, because it isn't affirming an absolute attribute or character or action of Allah, just like the Quran. It does not state that Allah mocks and that's it. Allah mocks those who what? I understand this? And that's not the same as other attributes such as Allah's love, Allah's mercy. That is absolute. Allah is merciful to everyone, even to His enemies. Everyone understand this? It's a difference. Allah loves the believers, even those who are sinful, and He offers tawbah to them. Everyone understand this? Everyone understand this? Allah knows all of the time. Allah always knew. Allah knows and Allah will always know. That which never took place and that which won't take place, Allah knows how it will be if it took place. That is an attribute, a characteristic, a name that is what? Absolute. And it is not established in light of something else. Everyone understand this? These principles here? So the general default aqeedah of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we affirm to Allah what He has affirmed to Himself, etc. But there are details. And everything is mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah doesn't mean that it is attributed to Allah as a name. Nor does it mean it's attributed to Allah as a sifa, an attribute. Nor does it mean that it is an absolute action of Allah. But there are certain actions and attributes and characteristics which are mentioned as what? In light of something else. The ulama say al-mushakala wal-muqabala. Al-mushakala. Everyone understand this? It's going with both sides. Everyone understand this? They mock and what? Allah mocks them. They make a plan and Allah what? Can we say that Allah makes a plan? Absolutely. As many brothers say, Allah is the best of planners. Can we say that absolutely? To make a plan. Everyone understand this? But they're making a plot and what? Wakidu Kaden. And I'm also what? Making a plot in light of them. Not saying that Allah has to plot it and plan it out like a human being does, conspires to get someone. Everyone understand this? Everybody clear on this or not? Mushakila. Everyone understand this? They're making a plot and Allah what? In light of them. And it doesn't just affirm that Allah plots. In Allah yamkur, Allah plots and schemes. So it's dangerous. So there's a way of understanding these things. So Allah does not become tired until what? And it does not affirm that Allah just what? Becomes tired. And which a person is stuck between two worlds now. To affirm that Allah becomes tired in a way that suits His Majesty. Kaif. How can tiredness and exhaustion, huh? Or the other concept of a person saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He becomes tired, that's not what's meant, and distorts it and twists it. But we don't have to go that far because it's only mentioned in light of another side. Allah doesn't become tired until you become tired. Are you understand this? And from the meanings of that, Allah will not stop His reward. Allah will not until you and give up, etc. You quit, you stop making dua, Allah Azza wa Jal may not help you, may not support you anymore. But Allah never ever becomes tired. Are you understand this? Everybody clear on this or not? Because from one aspect, the problem comes in. Where does the problem come in? The problem comes in is that we have principles from the Quran and Sunnah that show us that Allah does not become tired. Because tired is weakness. Everyone understand this? And from another aspect, we have names and attributes of Allah, which Allah has clearly affirmed to Himself. And some scholars, they say it can't be literal. It can't be literal. Everyone understand this? Such as anger. And even that's a detail. Allah doesn't just say that He's angry. And it's not always anger. But it's anger at certain times, people, and places. But Allah always is merciful. You understand this? All of the time. Allah becomes angry when people do what? Disobey Him. Allah is merciful what? All of the time. And there's special mercy that He gives to certain people at certain times. Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. You understand this? Sifat al-That, Sifat al-Fil. Even though the word that is يعني فيها ما فيها يعني كلمة الذات. طيب, everyone understand this? Al-Muhim, this is not a dars on Asma wa Sifat, but it's going to show us how we understand these texts and how we avoid certain mistakes and errors, right? So Nawawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, the ulama, he's quoting from those people who have those problems in Aqidah. That's what he means when he says the ulama. Those people who have the Ash'ari or other views, and misunderstandings. He says here, the conventional exhaustion or tiredness is not what's meant here in this hadith. And that's problematic in itself. Like I just explained. Allah will not stop His reward until you stop your deeds. وهكذا. طيب, moving forward, we have no more time. وفي هذا الحديث كمال شفقته صلى الله عليه وسلم ورأفته بأمته. Last night, I was listening to a fatwa of Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala before we move on, and he was asked this question about this hadith. That Allah does not become tired until you become tired. Allah doesn't give up until you give up. Is this an attribute of Allah? Can this be attributed to Allah, etc.? The Shaykh became very upset at the questioner. Was it the questioner's question or not? But the Shaykh became upset. And he said, what type of question is this? Leave Allah's attributes alone. Ask about ibadah, ask about fiqh, ask about how to perfect yourself, etc. It's not going to change or bother you or affect you in any sense or any manner whatsoever. And in summary of the fatwa. But obviously, if it's mentioned and it's in the sharh, we have to have understanding of it. Because somebody can use this as a problem against Ahlul Sunnah. Do you affirm Allah's tiredness? Because you affirm Allah's hand, you affirm Allah's face, you affirm Allah's istiwa in a manner that suits His Majesty, and it's literal, it's not figurative. So affirm Allah's exhaustion. Now, someone who doesn't have in-depth training and the detailed knowledge, he may get stuck in a corner. And he may say, Naam, Allah becomes tired in a way that suits him. And that's problematic. That's what? That's problematic. And he has to understand that this description of Allah Azza wa Jal is mentioned in a what? A specific what? Light. In a specific way. That's not the same as ثُمَّ اسْتَوَى عَلَى الْعَرْشِ وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْأَعْلَى. They fear their Lord from above them. Huh? That's text, the amount of text. How the text is mentioned. How it is unrestricted. This comes down from Allah. This goes up to Allah. We're talking about 6 or 7 different styles that all prove that Allah is above. That's not the same as just one specific hadith that says Allah doesn't become tired until what? You become tired. Where else does it mention Allah becomes tired and exhausted? You understand? Details get you out of what? Problems. And people of innovation and misguidance, they use these types of things to throw, you say a monkey wrench, right? They try to throw confusion. Everyone understand what I'm trying to say? So you don't even have to say that I affirm Allah's tiredness. But guess what? If it was mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah, like the other attributes were mentioned, I would affirm it. But we know it's not. You see the point I'm trying to get to? Everyone understand this? An attribute mentioned in one hadith, or an attribute mentioned ala wajh al-mushakala, is not an attribute that's mentioned absolutely. Like I said, Allah's mercy is absolutely mentioned. Guys, everybody with me or not? طيب, moving forward. He says here, وفي هذا الحديث كمال شفقته صلى الله عليه وسلم ورأفته بأمته لأنه أرشدهم إلى ما يصلحهم وهو ما يمكن الدوام عليه بلا مشقة ولا ضرر فتكون النفس أنشطة والقلب منشرحا فتتم العبادة بخلاف ما تعاطى من أعمال ما يشق فإنه بصدد أن يتركه أو بعضه أو يفعله بكلفة وبغير انشراح القلب فيفوته خير عظيم وقد ذم الله سبحانه وتعالى من اعتاد عبادة ثم أفرط فقال تعالى ورهبانية ابتدعوها ما كتبناها عليهم إلا ابتغاء رضوان الله فما رواها حق رعايتها وقد ندب عبد الله بن عمرو بن العاص على تركه قبول رخص رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في تخفيف العبادة ومجانبة التشديد. He says in this hadith another benefit is how the Prophet ﷺ was merciful and compassionate to his nation in a perfect way. He was totally compassionate, totally merciful to his ummah, and that he didn't want any hardship upon them. And he gave them instruction. He guided them to that which was best for them, that which would help them, and that which would fix their situation. And to perform the acts of worship that they can do constantly, consistently, without harming themselves, without killing themselves. And that's for you to have stamina, zeal, and for you to have what? Morale when you perform the ibadah. And which you feel good. And you're not beat down, tired and exhausted, dreading the worship. You slept, you ate, you performed your worldly responsibilities. Now you can do what? Focus on the ibadah. And you feel good about it. You feel inspired. You have morale. You understand? And not dreading the worship. I'm so tired. I dread. Everyone understand this? There's a huge difference between the two. He says, and when a person does something like this, then he'll miss a great deal of good. When he's not rested, when he's not focused, when he's not concentrating, when he's forcing himself, he's punishing himself, he's killing himself to do it, he's not balanced, he'll miss out on a great deal of good. Khayrun azim, he says. Nah? And Allah Azza wa Jalla has dispraised those who did this. He mentions the ayah from Surah Al-Hadid. إلى آخر كلامه رحمه الله تعالى. طيب. Moving forward. This hadith 448, also shows us one of the basic principles of innovation. How the seeds of innovation can be sown or can be sown. How extremism and innovation go like white on rice, hand in hand. You find many innovations today based off of acts of sunnah. And it only became a bid'ah through extremism, going too far. Everyone understand this? And obviously the act now is mutated. It's a whole nother act. But originally it was a what? It was sunnah to do this. Everyone understand this? No question about that. Everyone understand this? Being by yourself and thinking and reflecting, next thing you know, you're totally isolated. Then you start dancing and twirling and levitating, whirlwinding. Allahu musta'an. This is reality in the ummah today. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. طيب. Moving forward. The hadith it says, وَكَانَ أَحَبَّ الدِّينِ إِلَيْهِ مَا دَاوَمَ عَلَيْهِ صَاحِبُهُ. And the most beloved deen to Allah is that which is done regularly. That which is done constantly, consistently. This hadith proves and affirms the love of Allah Azza wa Jal. And that there are levels of Allah's love. And there are certain actions and deeds which are more beloved to Allah than others. And this part of hadith also shows us that Iman fluctuates. Iman rises and it wanes. It goes up and it goes down. And that's because ahabba deen, the most beloved deen. And here this word deen is a synonym or is used like other things such as Iman or Amal or Islam. Which Islam is best? What's the best Islam? What's the best deed? Everyone understand this? And also shows us the importance of consistency. Even if it's small. The tortoise and the hare, right? Famous story that you told when you're a young child. I don't know if they do it nowadays in 2018, do they? They may say about two geese, right? Two male geese, two papa bears. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Back in the day, these are the stories and the values that we got from our parents and the teachers. The tortoise and the hare, Aesop's fables, a collection of wisdom from a slave. You know Aesop was a slave, right? A Greek slave. Aesop's fables, you learn these basic principles. Running, quick, jetting, dashing, or taking your pace, taking your time. Slow and steady wins the race. Slow and steady wins the race. Fundamentally sound is how you win. Fancy, razzle, dazzle. It may work, it may look good, but it's going to fail you eventually. You're going to run out of steam, you're going to run out of gas. But fundamentals never ever forsake you. Ever. Fundamentals never forsake you. Everyone understand this? You may not win, but you won't lose if you're fundamentally sound. You avoid mistakes, and you're fundamentally sound, you're not going to lose. You may not be able to win without talent, without razzle and dazzle, without special moves. But you guard yourself from loss by taking your time, by being slow, and not making any errors, and being fundamentally sound. Everyone understand this? The tortoise and the hare. The tortoise is slow. The hare is fast, agile, quick. But it's going to run out of speed. It's going to run out of gas. Everyone understand? It's like the gazelle. The cheetah obviously is the fastest land mammal. No question about that. But the cheetah's span of speed, that burst is extremely limited. Like Sonic, right? You play the Sonic Hedgehog game, right? The dash meter only lasts for how long? And then it does what, Khalid? It fades. Everyone understand this? So the cheetah, its speed is blurring. No question about that. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. But if the gazelle can give it a little couple extra seconds, the cheetah will run out of air. No question. Everyone understand this? Let alone what does the cheetah do when it catches the gazelle? Do you know how long it takes for it to stop breathing and stop panting and to catch its breath? Lions, hyenas, vultures. Oftentimes they come and they take the game from the cheetah. Miskeen. Catching is only half of the battle. And the cheetah by nature is a frail cat because it's so fast. So it can't stand toe to toe with what? A bigger, stronger animal. Everyone understand this? So the concept of doing things on a slow pace but consistently is better than one day this and then 1 week nothing. You go crazy for a month, you go hard, you go extreme, and then a whole year you don't study anything. Right, understand this? So as a student of knowledge, you need both, as we said. To win, you need both. You have to have a basic level of consistency, and you have a day or an hour or a month or a week in which you go really, really, really hard in studying. But not a day goes by except that I read, a person may say, for an hour a day. And then on the weekends, I read 5 hours a day. I sacrifice sleep one day out of the week. You understand this? I sacrifice my family time. I sacrifice a meal. You understand this? But it doesn't mean that you just go crazy and you study for one day and then you leave off the book for 6 days. Everybody clear on this? But you taking an hour out of every day for 7 days a week is not enough to really excel studying. Hour out of the day is not enough. I'm making an example. You have to have a day or two in which you do what? Go really hard. Everyone understand this? But not at the expense of the what? The basic level of consistency. Everyone understand this? And there are hadiths that show us and prove this as well. The most beloved deen to Allah is that which is done consistently, along with other hadiths which the Prophet did this at night, and he did that, and told the companions, and he warned his companion from leaving this off, and he encouraged his companion to do this extra deed. What hakada? Everyone understand this or not? Play it. Last hadith of the chapter. A person may curse himself and he's asking Allah for forgiveness. This shows us that dua is based off of content. It's based off of content. And it's not just based off of form. Nor is it based off of what's shiny, right? What seems good and sounds good to the people. But it's based off of content. So we find in our modern times commercial du'as, unfortunately. Du'as in which every sentence rhymes. It sounds so beautiful. They sing the du'a like a song. They recite the du'a like a Quran, and it's 10, 15, 20 minutes. And everyone's crying, Ameen, oh, Ameen, oh, Ameen. The Imam says something which isn't even a du'a. And the people, they say what? Ameen. Something that's seriously wrong. Everyone understand this? Or if a person is breaking down, bursting in tears, and all of a sudden he just starts saying, how can you be crying and saying this at the same time, rhyming intricately? Something is seriously wrong with your lip singing. Understand this, doctor? Huh? Something is what? Something is seriously wrong. So the point is that what's the most important part of dua? How beautiful it sounds or the content of the dua? A commonly asked question is, can you recite or can you make a dua in the prayer in English or in your native tongue, another language? Many ulama say that you can. Some ulama say it's disliked. Some ulama, they make an exception with regards to if you know Arabic or not, etc. Al-Muhim, hypothetically speaking, which language is more beautiful and eloquent? Hypothetically speaking, Arabic or English? Without a question. But for those ulama that say that you can read English in the dua in your salah to prove that the most important part of dua is what? The content, what you're asking Allah for, and you know what you're saying. And not just the fancy, what? Dua that is void of content. So a person may be praying to Allah, and he's so tired he may curse himself, and he's asking for forgiveness. This establishes this principle, is that you have to know what you're saying and what? In dua. And content takes precedence in your what? In dua. Everyone understand this or not? Khairan, inshallah ta'ala. We'll stop here tonight with regards to the dars of hadith. And hopefully we can take a few questions if it's possible.